Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Notre Dame fans. Mike Singer and Kyle Kelly live on the Blue and Gold YouTube channel. Really appreciate you all for tuning in, whether you're watching us live, you're watching us back, you're listening to this as a podcast. Thank you for making us a part of your day. Kyle and I run the recruiting operation at Blue and Gold, and very excited to be with you guys. The last time we did this show was June 19th, believe it or not. You had 4th of July last week, and then Kyle was on vacation the week before. So yeah, it's been a little while. Kyle, how many articles did you do for this bad boy right here, this Blue and Gold football magazine? Did a few?
It always feels like more than what I actually did. I think I had about a handful, but I'm very pleased with the work our staff did. Like, I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, man, if you're a Notre Dame fan during these dog days of summer, you got to get that preview magazine.
Yes. Oh, I mean, listen, guys. It is 160 pages, and it's glossy. Like covers like it's
Big fan of the glossy.
yeah, glossy pages. It's quality. It's not like an old newspaper feel, which our in-season magazines are that, so we can get it out to you guys quickly. But smells good too. I don't know. Is that weird? I love the smell of this magazine, and I think this. I mean, this article right here. I don't know who wrote this one. With Will. Oh, it was me. It was me.
I like
grab this
on it too on the bottom right. Picture makes the story.
I don't know. BlueGoldOnline.com. This is where I'm just kidding, Kyle. This is where you pick it up. BlueGoldOnline.com. It'll say you'll see this image of J Love, and yeah, pick up a copy of it. Highly, highly recommend. So, for today's show, we are. Let me put this right here. We are going to be talking about Notre Dame recruiting. Believe it or not. Shocker, right? Hit the thumbs up, of course. If you have not done so yet, subscribe to the Blue and Gold YouTube channel for more content. Man, 3 shows in as many days for your boy here. And yeah, we won't be live until next Tuesday. Decided to move up the show from Friday to Thursday for this week. And I was live with Eric Hansen last night. Tim missed again last night, but we'll get Tim back next week. And then I was with Jack and Horka on Tuesday. So you check that out, the Notre Dame Six Pack Show. I didn't really promote this show a whole lot until like 20 minutes before we went live because I was writing an article that I think it ended up a banger. Headline: Why Notre Dame's June 13th official visit weekend was a massive success. And the reason, so like when we put why in a headline, you want to answer that. And the big reason was not even, I think, something tremendous that the Notre Dame staff did. And to be completely honest with you, Kyle, this Notre Dame official visit weekend didn't have like a ton of glitz and glamour in terms of activities. In years past, they've done the, what's the name of the place? Adventureplex in South Bend. It's like a whole, I think there's like arcade and just like all sorts of fun things. Bowling alley. It's just like an adventure complex. Games and all sorts of stuff. I've never been to Adventureplex. Kids love that. But for their big off-campus activity for the June 13th weekend, it was golfing. I don't know how many recruits golf. It's like their first time going. I think it was at the Warren Golf Club or golf course, I believe.
Like me, they all try, and it's funny to see some of their swings.
Yeah, it's like how much fun is golfing? Like I don't. It's like again, I'm not trying to be like Kyle loves golfing. I'm not a golfing guy, but it's like I mean, I'm sure they're doing more, flashy things at Oregon or Texas or wherever else. But the thing that made this official visit weekend so successful for Notre Dame was just who was there, was just the bonding. I had quotes in this article from I think 6 different recruits, including the 3 biggest recruits in town that weekend were Caden Finley, Kari Adams, and Joey O'Brien. I interviewed all 3 of them about their Notre Dame commitments. And when I said, why'd you pick the Irish? They all talked about that recruiting weekend and spending time with each other. So Yeah. Hats off to the Notre Dame staff for getting that group of kids together. And Kyle, it was a bold move for them to say no official visitors May 30th, no official visitors June 6th. We're going to load up on the June 13th weekend, and then they had some in town the following weekend as well. It was a bold move because you can't spend it, like the coaches can't spend as much one-on-one time with the recruits. Like when Ian Premer, the tight end, came in for that midweek official visit, June 17th and 19th, he spent more time with Marcus Freeman than any other recruit in the month of June by far. He was the only one in town. That was it. He still ended up committing to the Irish. But yeah, they didn't get to have that for the June 13th weekend. But they clicked. The recruits, Dylan Faison, Noah Grubbs, Javian Osborne, like the commits did a tremendous job with the targets. And then Kari Adams during the OV weekend was starting to recruit Joey O'Brien to join him in South Bend before Kari even made up that he was committing to Notre Dame. Kyle, what do you think about all this?
Boy, I have a couple thoughts, but the one thing I want to mention first, just as a talking point, is how about the risk Notre Dame kind of ran with putting this on the second to last weekend in June? Obviously, if they did it the last weekend before the dead period, would have been way more risky. But like Clemson, for example, their big recruiting weekend is the first weekend of the summer because they want to get guys locked in. And Notre Dame, they did it the third week. But the reason I mention that is because how close did Notre Dame come to maybe not even hosting Joey O'Brien? He was thinking about shutting it down after Oregon. So
I sorry not to cut you off, but I will say like Notre Dame felt that there's just no way that the family would let him not take the Notre Dame OV. But you can find that. I put that quote on social media. Folks can see that. I'll pull it up on the screen real quick. Sorry, keep going, Kyle.
Yeah, no, that was just the one talking point I had, based on some of your thoughts there. But two things that I look at with the success of that recruiting weekend is something, I don't really want to give away your whole story. Premium, it's a premium piece on Blue and Gold, and subscribers can, of course, access that. And if you're not a subscriber,
what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, it's only $1, man, for a week trial. So we got a lot of things going on at Blue and Gold, some new staff additions, and Tyler James and Eric Hansen. We're pretty excited about the team we've built. But just going back to your pieces, you mentioned the bond of the commits and the connection they had while on campus that weekend. And even though that was a big part and, all those guys came together, something like that doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
And it's a credit to the strategy of the Notre Dame recruiting staff that they have every cycle. And to be honest, this is something that was implemented by Chad Bowden, Notre Dame's former GM and director of recruiting, when he was on campus the last 3 years. One of Chad's strategies was to get all these guys on campus for the major recruiting events. And those events are basically in order when you get your offer on Pot of Gold Day. Yeah, they want to get you up on campus for spring practice. But the main thing is we want to get you on campus for the Blue Gold Spring Game. That's a big one. They want to get you on campus for Irish Invasion to compete with the coaching staff and, work out with those guys. In years past, it was in July at the end of the summer recruiting event, Grill and Chill. That was a really big deal. And now this year they combined the Irish Invasion and Grill and Chill, which is why I think you saw more recruits on campus for the Irish Invasion. After that, Notre Dame always has basically one marquee home game. Last year, even though it didn't happen to work out, being a big-time matchup, it was Florida State. That was the game they pointed all recruits to when they were on campus in July. They were locking in flights, locking in hotels, making sure guys were on campus on November 9th. After that, it's Junior Day in January. And once that Junior Day happens, you're starting to see guys come off the board. And if they're not off the board yet, they're getting them all on campus for the same official visit. So when Notre Dame has these events, they're all bringing all their top targets together, and they're seeing each other frequently in South Bend. They're around the coaching staff. They're around each other. And I think that plays a big role into building that connection. The other thing for me is this is something a lot of the recruits have told me. It's just that Notre Dame recruits a lot of the same like-minded individuals, same personalities. When you get guys together like that, they tend to mesh really well and click really well. I mean, we've heard in the past, like you can tell pretty quickly when there's a guy at Notre Dame who just doesn't really fit in. That hasn't been the case this cycle, at least on the official visit weekend. So those are the two things I thought of when reading your story, and just kind of some supplemental details on why I thought it was such a successful marquee official visitor weekend on June 13th.
Another thought I had, and I didn't include this in the story, Penn State really screwed up with
I don't
Kari
know
and
what they were
Joey.
doing. What
Now,
with the timing of those official visits, and I've heard some crazy stuff with Penn State on how they tried to squeeze both those guys, and I don't blame them.
right.
But yeah, I mean they did have guys on campus in June, but it seems like a lot of their main targets were on campus that May 15th weekend.
Yeah, that's what I'm scrolling to find. So, and they did have a lot of. Jeez, they had a lot of official visitors. Notre Dame only had 28. So they had 8 in town for May 16th. Notre Dame commit, Ohio State commit. They went over.
Anyone want to talk about having the last official visit mattering? Because I think it does.
Well, like for Kari, Oregon was the last OV. And then he canceled it. Well, I guess Maryland actually ended up getting the last OV. I didn't even ask Kari about that. Did you ever ask Kari about that?
No.
Because I didn't include this in my story because I wasn't for sure, but I feel like he probably was already a silent to Notre Dame and then took a Maryland OV. I don't really know what that was about. It really doesn't matter. But yeah, like Braden Robinson, like I'm trying to think. Well, Braden Robinson he didn't end up going to Ohio State. But I want to say there's a couple others that are like Frizel was supposed to go to Iowa and canceled. So yes, getting the last OV matters, but Penn State thought, well, let's get these two together and then have them cancel the June OVs. This May 16th definitely was a swing and a miss for Penn State. How do you have 8 official visitors and land 0 of them in one weekend? Whereas Notre Dame, I think, will end up signing 27 of 28 June official visitors, which is insane. Kyle, you're going to have to revisit that article that you did where Notre Dame had previously signed like 40% of its targets who officially visit in June, and look at, maybe you'll do that in August or something. But wow, incredible. Yeah, but Mike, wake me up at signing day. Listen, if you're one of those people that's like, wake me up at signing day, well, why the hell are you watching or listening? What is the point? Just then don't watch, don't listen. Come back in December. Wait till signing day. Mike, I don't care. Wake me up when they get to the field, get to Notre Dame and enroll and get on the field. What are you doing? What are you doing here? It's not the point of the show. We're talking about the here and now. But anyways, go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, I think we're due for some additional reporting on that weekend. I thought your column was pretty good on to the point of that you had a lot of thoughts from the recruits who were on campus, how the brotherhood made a big difference. But I think we got to dive a little bit deeper, man, because I'm interested. And it stinks that we have to wait until signing day to ask Marcus Freeman and the coaching staff on the record about how that weekend came together. Maybe we can ask generally, the success of that weekend. Maybe that's something for July or August. But yeah, really, really successful week. I mean, there's so many variables to this class. I mean, I touched on a lot of the rankings points today, and in a column I posted a 3-2-1 column on Blue and Gold. We've talked about in the past how a lot of this class is made up from recruits in the South. Texas leading the charge with the most commits, I believe, in Notre Dame's class, which is pretty crazy. A lot of public school kids, which when you think Notre Dame, you think they're going to go after all the top recruits from all the top private schools in the country. And they get those guys, but now they are changing the tenor with, really embracing some of those kids that attend schools that maybe in the past would not be as favorable to Notre Dame, but are now. So, yeah, this is what I would call a pretty transformative recruiting class for Notre Dame, both on and off the field.
Crash's Train says, who's the one miss? We'll talk about that in a minute. But first, let's hear from Roback. Best fit, best feel. That's how you describe Roback. If you're not familiar with the outstanding clothing company, they're completely changing the game with their incredibly comfortable activewear. They have a licensed game day collection, which is especially awesome for Notre Dame. And I mean, if you have like a second favorite team or like a spouse or a friend or whatever that's a fan of another team, pick them up something and then get yourself some new swag as well, because it's very it's unique, it's comfortable. I was just wearing the Notre Dame Stadium one is currently sold out, but they usually bring it back. I wore that for my show last night with Eric Cancel. I wore it the rest of the night before I went to bed. Like I mean, this is, you look great on the golf course. It's classy, but it's also super comfortable. You don't feel like, like when I wear most polos, I'm sweating, just because of the fabric. But this is that really quality material. So use the promo code BlueGold20 on Roback.com. That's a generous 20% off for all new customers. If you just go to Roback.com, their offer is what was it? Free standard shipping on domestic orders over $150. Use the promo code BlueGold20. And you get 20% off, which, for the price of these polos, and you can also get their, other hoodies, Q-zips, crew necks, and more. It's a really good, that 20% off goes a long way. So go to Roback.com, RHOBACK.com. What else do we have? Yeah, let's skip to the 2027 class before we bring it back to 2026. I don't have a ton to say here, Kyle, but a couple of dominoes have started to fall, and one of them being Kareem Hughley, 2027 quarterback, committed to Clemson. So it's like, why are we talking about Clemson, Mike? We'll get there. But Clemson's first quarterback offer was a few weeks ago to Peyton Houston, who we'll also talk about in a moment. And then the Tigers decided to expand the board with a few offers: Teddy Gerard, Hughley, and I think Trent Seaborn, I believe, from Alabama. And Hughley jumped on this. I want to say he got his offer just a couple days before. So he got his offer July 5th. 5 days later, he jumps on it, and he is now a Tigers commit. So I don't know if this offends anyone. I apologize if it does, but to me, Clemson is kind of like Notre Dame of the South. I don't think Clemson is quite as strong, like academically, as Notre Dame, but the way Clemson recruits and the way Dabo Swinney runs his program, it's similar to Notre Dame. That's why you see a lot of Notre Dame Clemson battles on the recruiting front. So this takes Clemson out of the equation, right? Peyton Houston, Notre Dame's also offered him. He's not going to be considering Clemson anymore, which, again, we'll get to Peyton in a second. But the bigger one is Teddy Gerard, who Notre Dame absolutely loves. One of two quarterback offers for the Irish in the 27th cycle so far. He was considering Clemson. Also likes Ohio State and Georgia. The in-state school is going to be definitely one to watch. But this takes Clemson off the board for Gerard, and I think that Notre Dame's got as good of a chance as any school to land Teddy. So I think it's notable in that sense. And yeah, like, it's just a domino. Like, I think if anything, some of these recruits are now thinking Spot can go just like that. Like, it speeds things up in their mind. It kind of dawns on them like, oh, snap. Like, think back to Brady Hart for the 26 cycle, Kyle, when Noah Grubbs took his spot at Notre Dame. Do you remember, like, Brady was like, I want to commit in the fall, or I want to commit after my junior season. He sped things up and then committed to Michigan at the end of the month. And then, of course, decommitted and reclassified to A&M for the 26 cycle. But it's kind of notable in that sense. And then going back to Peyton Houston, the domino for him is multiple predictions going in for him to land at USC, which at the Future 50 event that I was at a couple weeks ago, all of the buzz about Houston, and of course Houston was there, was around USC for him, like all the reporters, and we're talking about USC, and then his interview, he's definitely speaking highly about the Trojans. So two big takeaways for 27 quarterback recruiting for Notre Dame. We'll hear what Kyle's response to this is. One, I think it just removes a contender for Teddy Gerard, and I never really thought the Irish were like a top 2 school or so for Peyton Houston. I felt like it was more like Oklahoma, USC. I think a lot of people around Peyton like Notre Dame, but I don't know how much Peyton actually I don't know if Peyton likes Notre Dame as much as like those close to him do. That's just kind of been my read. And my other thought is, Notre Dame was also considering Hewley for an offer. So it's like, does Notre Dame now start offering other guys? They've only offered 2, Houston and Gerard. Do they offer Israel Abrams from Chicago? Do they offer Malachi Ziegler from Louisiana? Do they offer Keegan Croucher from the Northeast? So I do feel like some of these dominoes falling could speed up the Irish offering other quarterbacks, but we'll see. Kyle, what do you think?
Yeah, I find Teddy Gerard's interest in Ohio State pretty interesting, given that they have a commitment from one of the top quarterbacks in the 2027 cycle, and Brady Edmonds. He's from California. I know Notre Dame was pretty high on him, or liked him when he came up to campus last summer and camped. Had a pretty good showing in front of the coaching staff, but big Buckeyes fan growing up, so he committed to Ohio State. I almost wonder if Edmonds might be reclassifying to the 2026 class, because I know Ohio State doesn't have a commit. I don't even know if that's possible. Pure speculation, so please don't misconstrue my words or aggregate me, because I have no idea if that's the case. But that's just something I think about with Teddy Gerard's interest in Ohio State, because if you're an elite quarterback or a top quarterback in the class, why would you want to go to a two quarterback class, especially with one who's another highly rated guy? That doesn't really make a lot of sense with me. So, I'm with you. I think Georgia's one to watch for Gerard, being the in-state school there. But a couple thoughts I had on quarterback recruiting is, I know it's an unpopular opinion, or it feels that way, that I like the approach that Gino Guidugli and the coaching staff has taken with quarterback recruiting, because even though you see a lot of quarterbacks commit early on before their junior seasons, that's starting to change a little bit. Last year at this time, I think 5 of the 15 top quarterbacks in that cycle, in the 2025 cycle, were already committed. Guess what? 3 of those guys have already flipped, and Brady Smigel, Oscar Rios, and Jonas Williams. So even though they committed early on, they already changed where they're committed. We see a lot of that, especially closer to signing day. And there's only, with Hewley coming off the board today, there's only 3 of the top 15 quarterbacks in this cycle committed.
15, so, 3 of the top 15.
Yeah.
And I'd be curious where that was at last year, because
that's why I looked into. It was about a third, so 5 of 15 were committed last year, and that's not including Brady Hart, and 3 of those guys flipped. So that's why I'm not all that worried about quarterback recruiting, quarterback commitments right now. Like I said, 3 of the 15 are only committed in 2027, 4 of the 25. So there's a lot of guys still out there. And it's not like that, even though Notre Dame's only offered 2 guys, it's not like Guidugli is not recruiting them. Like, he's gone out and seen most of his top guys and most of the top quarterbacks in the 2027 cycle, even dating back to a couple years ago. I remember him going to see Trent Seaborn. I don't even know if you remember this. This might have been last spring or the spring before that. I remember when we were doing our Coaches on the Road report that Guidugli was in Alabama scouting Seaborn. So he has relationships with these guys. He's keeping in touch. And there's just so much strides to be made during your junior season, senior year. Like, with quarterback recruiting, we see that the rankings reshuffle so much from the start of the cycle to the end of the cycle. Just one example of that I always remind myself of was, I don't know, Mike, if you remember Jaden Davis a couple years ago from North Carolina. He was supposed to be the next top not like Quinn Ewers prospect where he was the top number one player across the board and all that, but he was kind of seen as, the next generational quarterback. Well, by the end of the cycle, I feel like Michigan fans were questioning his, why Michigan was accepting his commitment. He slid down the rankings and, I ended up not being as coveted as some of the other passers. So there's time with the 2027 quarterback recruiting as long as Dooley and some of the coaching staff is keeping in touch with those guys.
Yeah.
And, I believe that they are.
Yeah, that's the key, is keeping in touch. Like, think about Devin Fitzgerald. Notre Dame fans on the loose emoji board are some I've still seen say recently, like, I question why they didn't offer before. It's like, why does it matter? They got them. It doesn't matter. Like, they did their job. They did their job. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They have their reasons. Like, so, and they kept recruiting him, right? They always stay in touch with Devin Fitzgerald. So it doesn't matter when they offer him, right? It's like they get him. Did they get him? They had the plan and they got him. So it's the same for 27. It's like, whether you offer 2 right now or 5, like, whatever, just get someone good. Get someone good. So I can go either way. Like, would I have liked to see them offer Israel Abrams and Malachi Ziegler and Croucher already? Probably. But, I mean, I'm not going to judge until after someone, like, commits or signs or I mean, heck, even until they have to play. Like, I mean, was Blake Hebert a good, like, was that a nice recruiting win for Notre Dame in the context of the disaster of the Deuce Knight show and flipping Blake Hebert from Clemson? Yeah, it was very, very nice. Same with Kenny Minchie after the Dante Moore debacle in 2023. But, like, I don't know if it was a good signing. I don't know. We haven't seen him play. Was CJ Carr a great signing? I haven't seen him play. We haven't seen him play. We don't know. We don't know. So, yeah, I kind of going off topic, but yeah, I don't like to judge too harshly much until you see what happens. Like, if someone was a good get or not from, like, a recruiting win context, yeah, you can talk about that pretty quickly. But for some of these kids, like, we don't know what they're going to be like in college. There's a lot of surefire guys that don't pan out, and there's a lot of guys you don't think are that great that do become great. So, yeah, who thought Ian Book in the 2016 class would win 30 games as Notre Dame starting quarterback? So, anyways, yeah, so that's a little discussion about 2027 quarterback recruiting. We did have that comment earlier about the miss. Like I said, 28 official visitors. I think it was 16 of them were committed to Notre Dame. I think they end up with 9 of the remaining recruiters, or 8 of the 9, whatever it is. So here's who's left on the board in 2026 right now. Nick Reddish, he announces tomorrow between Notre Dame, Indiana, Wisconsin, and Virginia Tech. I like Notre Dame for Nick Reddish. I've liked Notre Dame for him since February of this year, and feel pretty good about where the guys stand with him. Really nice player, not highly ranked. He didn't play his junior season. He got hurt, I think, in this first or second game. Elijah Golden's announcing his commitment at the end of the month. Kyle wrote a good story about him with reporters who cover other schools and what they think about Golden's recruitment. July 26th decision, 4-star from King George, Virginia, plays his high school bowl down in Sarasota, Florida, for former Notre Dame quarterback and tight end.
Jared Clark,
thank you. I don't know why I was thinking Noah Clark, and I was like, his name's not Noah Clark. That's a 2026 recruit, Jared Clark. Thank you. I hope Jared doesn't see this. I love Jared. Met him at the national championship game. Awesome guy. Yeah, I think. I mean, I guess Bama's still talking to Elijah Golden and still feels like they're in the mix and working on him. So I don't really know for sure, but I think Notre Dame gets Elijah Golden. I've got to pick in for that to happen. And then Evan Jacobson is the one that, like, it's possible Notre Dame goes 28 for 28, but does Jacobson want to be a part of the 3 tight end class? Like, does he want to be the 3rd tight? I don't know. I haven't done a ton of digging on this recruitment. I guess he's still a little ways away from making a decision, and I would assume the farther it goes from his Notre Dame OV, that the more likely he ends up at like an A&M or an Iowa State. But if this is the one loss, Jacobson's an outstanding talent. Notre Dame, you would love to have him play for you, but they already have Ian Premer and Preston Frizzell committed. But I would welcome Jacobson into the class if Notre Dame can make that work. So that's kind of next on the 26 board. I mean, Notre Dame's got 25 commits. I mean the class is outstanding. Number 4 in the country. It's like half the class is ranked in the top 150 or so. It's like it's a really good group, Kyle.
Yeah, it really is. I referenced the column I wrote earlier today on Blue and Gold, just breaking down some of the rankings, and I know it will become outdated soon because the On3 Rivals team is working on the updated rankings. I think those are going to come down sometime later this month. And just a disclaimer, because I know we've gotten this question a lot, they are going to be rebranded as the Rivals rankings. On3 high school recruiting rankings are not going to exist anymore. But the current On3 rankings, they're going to be working off those for the new Rivals rankings. So still spearheaded by Charles Power, On3, now Rivals Director of Scouting and Rankings, and National Scout Cody Belair. So the guys who've done the On3 rankings the last 5 cycles or so are now going to be doing the Rivals rankings. And like I said, I know there's going to be updated, but I still wanted to kind of break down, this class and kind of where they stand in the rankings after all the movement. And the biggest thing for me, 6 guys in the top 100. Notre Dame has the best positional duo in the entire 2026 cycle with the edge rushers and Rodney Dunham and Ebenezer Iwatade. And then, of course, the running backs, Javian Osborne and Jonas Walton. That's one of the best offensive duos in the whole country. So from top to bottom, and I like to look at the bottom and the middle of the class as well, because the depth of this class is really impressive. And I still think that even though Notre Dame has 6 top 100 recruits in the class, I would like to think they have a chance to get a couple more. Like, there's guys like Aiden Pouncey, who I'm really high on, who I think could wind up in the top 100. How about this? With Rodney Dunham, Iwatade, Kari Adams, Ian Premer, and missing someone else. Maybe Joey O'Brien if he makes that jump. I mean, Notre Dame legitimately has 5 guys in 5-star contention. Yeah. I don't know if they're going to have 5 5-stars. I don't know if they're going to have 2 5-stars, but they have 5.
Who all did you include?
5-star players. So in the list of the 3 rankings, Rodney Dunham, who's number 7, Ian Premer, who is like 24, 25, or 26, Iwatade, who's 28, Kari Adams, who's 30. Then there's Joey O'Brien, who's number 99 overall in the On3, which will be the Rivals rankings. He's expected to get a bump. He's a number 40 player in the industry ranking. 24/7 Sports already considers him, I think, a 5-star. He's in their top 32.
Yeah.
So I think O'Brien is going to be floating around that 5-star status as well. So remember that Texas A&M class from 2022 when they signed like 5 or 6 5-stars? I mean, it would be remarkable, an absolutely incredible haul if Notre Dame's able to. Well, I mean, they're signing all those guys are 5-star caliber guys, in my opinion, and I know the rankings kind of justify that. But
right,
yeah, if they can hang on in the top 32 spots, boy, I think there already is a lot to be excited about. But I mean, Notre Dame legitimately does have 5 guys that can end up 5-stars in this cycle.
By the On3 industry ranking, that A&M 22 class had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But how many of them even panned out and like left? It was
transferred.
Yeah. So most of them. Yeah.
Notre Dame's recruiting the right way, though. All these guys chose Notre Dame for the right reasons. Like, let's make no mistake, Notre Dame, they can pay guys. And that's legal now, folks. Like, once again, the NIL and rev share and all that, how these guys are getting paid, That's not the boogeyman anymore. All this is legal. You want your guys to get paid. If you're a Notre Dame fan, you want Notre Dame to pay your guys. But the guys at Notre Dame recruiting, they're not picking Notre Dame solely because Notre Dame is offering them a pretty exciting NIL package.
Yeah.
And those guys, on the other hand, I think everyone went chasing the bag down in College Station in that class 4 years ago.
Folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content. Okay, so after July, let's say if, you know, my kind of projection of they go 2 for 3 with the remaining 3, then what, Kyle? Like what do you? And this is going to be more of us what we would do rather than speculating what we think Notre Dame is going to do. What are your thoughts, Kyle? What would you like to see Notre Dame do, or what would you do to finish out the class? And it could be nothing.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to me. You spend all of your time and energy keeping these guys locked in. Because I'll tell you what, people aren't going to stop going after Bubba Frazier. People aren't going to stop going after Aiden Pouncey. People aren't going to stop going after Joey O'Brien, Kari Adams, Ian Primer, all these guys. I can assure you that coaching staffs are not going to let their foot up on the gas on these guys. And I think Marcus Freeman has talked about in the past how Notre Dame has been really successful at keeping their guys locked in, continually recruiting them, making them feel prioritized. But in this cycle, it matters more than ever because you have more national recruits and guys from parts of the country where they can show up at Penn State unexpectedly. They can show up at Miami. They can show up at Georgia or Kansas State. That's possible. And I don't expect that to be the case. I think a lot of these guys are going to remain locked in. I don't think it's going to be too dramatic, but that's the huge priority for me. I'm not as worried about supplementing this class with getting a new defensive lineman or another linebacker. That doesn't really matter to me. At this point, I think you can find those guys in the portal. I think with the recruiting class they're bringing in, they've really minimized the amount of guys they need in the portal this cycle. So that's why I'm really focusing on keeping their guys locked in. And the other footnote is, even though Notre Dame has had success in 2026, I think there may be a tick behind in 2027 with some of these guys. The guys they all got to campus they're in pretty good shape for, but I think they just got to turn it up a notch in 2027. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, this time last year they did have a few commits, right? Faison,
Grubbs. That was
Grubbs. Okay, so yeah,
and that took until November.
So yeah, that was the whole discussion about 26 is more patient, not pushing for as many early commitments, and yeah, you turn it up in the spring. You've mentioned this 1,000 times, Kyle. That like, let me say this real quick. When we say Notre Dame fans who this, we're not like. I think a lot of people don't like me because of that. They're like, oh, you're because I'm offending them because they were the ones doing that. Like Kyle has said several times that like Notre Dame fans were complaining in February about the lack of recruiting momentum. Just wait, it's Notre Dame's time is coming.
That was drive me nuts, man.
Yeah, but we okay. I don't know how to exactly word this. Our jobs are like, yes, reporting, but also we're trying to, for the lack of a better term, like educate and like make you guys smarter about the recruiting process. Does that make sense? Like our most of our livelihood is like so much of our day is on Notre Dame football recruiting. So we're trying to like help you guys understand things. And when you don't, and it's like freaking about Notre Dame recruiting in February about not getting commitments, it's like, what are we doing here? So we're not like trying to talk down. I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm so much smarter than you. I know more. Me and Kyle are just like you all. We just get paid to do this. And we get to talk to sources and talk to the recruits and their families. So we're just trying to help you guys understand, just like we had to understand, like we learn these things. So Yeah, I know. I get a lot of people who don't like me because of my mocking voice and everything. I'm not going to stop being who I am, but we're trying to just like help you guys learn more about recruiting because it's something that's always changing. It can be confusing. You're dealing with teenagers, and recruiting looks a whole lot different than it did when I started in this business 12 years ago. And for Notre Dame fans in their 50s or 60s, it looks a whole hell of a lot different than 30, 40 years ago where your recruiting information was a hotline with Tom Lemming or, just, getting a newspaper in February about who Notre Dame signed. And that was it. Like it's a lot different. So just trying to help you guys. That's all. Yeah. So for 27, Notre Dame's got that long snapper and a linebacker from Mobile. So there you go. 80% blue chip ratio, by the way, in 2026.
I think that's going to go up too, in my opinion.
Yeah, so it's like any 4-star you get doesn't raise it a ton, but any 3-star you get drops it a good bit. So
Oh, you're right. I guess guys could.
yeah, but yeah, like Fitzgerald, Frizzell, I think are going to end up being 4 stars. Braden Robinson, I think, might end up being a 3. But just going through, and then there's not too many other, not too many 3-star guys to talk about in this class. Charlie Tom, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he ended up a 4-star after he moves full-time offensive tackle.
I mentioned him in my story this morning about guys I think are going to climb, because those types of offensive tackles that Cody Belair and Charles Power like.
Yeah, and he's an 87 3-star right now. I think he'll end up being as an 89 3-star by the time he starts his senior year by On3, and then we'll see where it goes from there. That is going to do it for this week's Notre Dame recruiting update. Please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content. Go to blueandgold.com for so much coverage on your Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Do any of these articles interest you? There's just so much that we cover. What I just showed on screen, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 news articles just in the past 4 articles to find. The past 4 hours to find out Blue and Gold. And then there's several more. So it is 1:43 p.m. Eastern time. We've already published 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 articles. It is the place to be. If you're a Notre Dame fan and you just watch this entire show or listen to this as a podcast, you're a junkie. You love this. You live and breathe it. You got to go to blueandgold.com, become a member of our community, get involved, have a whole staff chat tomorrow where we have six full-time writers now. 6
perspectives. 6 different perspectives.
Yeah. So you might ask one question and you're going to get 6 answers. Or
if you ask Mike, maybe no answer at all, depending on the question.
You have Eric's been covering Notre Dame for over 20 years. Tyler James is over 10 years. I'm at 6 years. Horka's, I think, 4 years. And then you're at, 3? And then Jack is, I think, around 3 as well. So it's like the combined experience with Notre Dame. You're not finding that anywhere else. It's incredible. So blueandgold.com. Really appreciate you all for tuning in to this week's show. And as always, we'll catch you next time.